My name is Collins Oghor, and we're sitting here today with Collins Oghor, who's a current MBA, MD student at McGill University. We're going to ask him a few questions, and the purpose of this interview is to provide you with a little bit of feedback about the program here at McGill. Collins, you've got quite a special profile. Could you walk us through what exactly your background is and what brought you to McGill?
Sure. So to understand my background, you have to go back to where I grew up. I'm Nigerian. I'm from Nigeria. Grew up there. I attended high school there, and I was privileged. I attended boarding school, and it was at boarding school that I really got to understand how privileged I was, and I really started to understand a lot of the issues that a developing country like Nigeria was facing. And one of those issues that seemed most obvious and glaring to me was the problem with the healthcare, and so that really got me interested in medicine. So with that kind of desire, I left after high school. I was 17 and I moved here. I moved to Canada. I studied at McGill University in Hamilton, Ontario. I got a Bachelor of Science in Psychology, Neuroscience, and Behavior, and the whole, all along the whole goal was eventually to end up in medical school, right? But we're gonna have to move back again. As a kid, at about 11, 12, I believe, I got exposed to a book about entrepreneurship, and
nice.
I really started to understand the value, of entrepreneurship, the value of business, and I realized that maybe being a doctor was good, if I really wanted to help the situation back home. But perhaps I could even do more with business, with entrepreneurship. So I really got interested in that. So when I was at the point where I was rounding up my undergraduate degree, I was looking for what are my options, right? Obviously, medical school was the main one, but then I was also thinking about an MBA. And I was in a bit of a limbo. Do I do an MBA and then go to med school, or do I go to med school, become a doctor, and then do an MBA? Mm-hmm. And as an international student in Canada, your options for medical school are very limited. So, for example, McGill accepts, I think, about 3 or 4 international students per year. So it was while looking through that I came across the McGill Doctor of Medicine and Masters of Business Administration program, and I felt like this program was made exactly for me. And so I ended up applying to only this program, which was not the smartest thing, but I did it anyways, and that's how I found myself here.
And what exactly are the benefits of combining an MBA with a Doctor of Medicine?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked me that question, because that's a question I come across a lot. And just before I really go into it, the issue is that medicine is viewed as it's the angel, it's good, it's about caring for people, helping
right.
people, but in doing that, in doing in carrying out all those altruistic activities, we cannot ignore the financial constraints. We just cannot ignore the financial realities of
mm-hmm.
it, the administrative realities of it, and that's why I personally think it's very important to marry the MD, and the MBA. So to go into your question at a micro level, the way the healthcare system in Canada, for example, is designed. Doctors are basically private businesses because they are not employed, they are not salaried. They're not paid salaries by the hospitals, but rather they're paid by the government on a fee-for-service basis. So from that point of view, it's important to really know how to operate a business. And a lot of doctors also have private businesses on the side because they have private practices. And then if you look at it in terms of societal issues, right now in the United States, even here in Canada and across the world, one of the hot topics is healthcare administration. Right, and doctors who are the center of this debate should be involved in this debate more, right? But you find that when you have doctors on one side speaking one language, you have administrators speaking one language, and you have politicians or whoever speaking another language, it's not the optimal solution. So I think it can be very beneficial for an individual to have both, both to be able to look at things from both perspectives and have a more holistic, approach and perspective. So I think it can be very beneficial for those reasons.
From a personal standpoint, how do you think doing this MBA, MD jointly will help you in your own future?
That's a very good question. Personally, I told you about my background and in terms of my goals, my reason for leaving Nigeria and coming here and studying medicine and all that. One thing I realized that at a young age was that as a medical doctor, I could reach out to as many people as an individual could possibly realistically reach out to in a year, for example. But I also realized that as a businessman, I could create infrastructure, I could create organizations, I could create environments for a lot of doctors to reach out to a lot more people than I could just by myself. So it's the idea of 1% of the effort of 100 people is better than 100% of the effort of one person.
Right.
And that is how I feel like the MD and MBA program will help me be able to, go across and actually achieve those goals of creating those institutions that could potentially change the healthcare situation in Nigeria and frankly in other West African and in fact the whole African continent possibly.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
I hope that you can do that. It sounds like an amazing plan.
I hope I can.
Typically, students come to business school with full-time work experience, usually a few years. You didn't have that coming directly from your undergraduate degree. Were there any ventures or projects that you took on that you think helped you prepare for the business discussions in class?
I was afraid you were going to ask me that question. I usually don't advertise the fact that I don't have any work experience, but yes, I've been fortunate. While I was doing my undergraduate degree, I came across an entrepreneur who had just started a company, a medical device retail company, and I was able to work with him side by side for a couple of years while doing my undergraduate degree, and I learned a lot from him. And I also, got involved in a couple of entrepreneurial ventures by myself, a couple of which failed miserably. But, I guess you learn more from those failures. And then about a year ago as well, I started my my own firm, a travel management firm in Lagos. And I feel those experiences have, kind of helped me to not be as clueless as I could have been, in an MBA program.
I'd like to ask you if there's anything about the program that surprised you that you weren't necessarily expecting coming into the program.
Honestly, that's something that has played on my mind a lot. Just reflecting about the first 6 months thereabouts, and I've just been amazed at the quality of the people in the program. You always hear that an MBA degree is very good for networking. It's a bit of a cliche, right? But then when I got into this program and I saw the quality of the people and the level of camaraderie, within the program, there's just so much, connection. Everyone is just, having a good time, helping each other out. And you look at the fact that how many countries, how many nationalities are represented?
We're probably close to 25.
25 it's incredible just seeing how everyone is working together. We have our differences, but we're all getting along, and just and I've learned so much from being around so much people. And you come into a program like this and you learn a lot from the classroom, but you learn a lot more from your peers, people like yourself, and it's amazing. That's for me has been the most surprising thing.
Collins, thank you very much for sitting here and doing the interview with us, answering my questions. It's been a pleasure getting to know you even better, and we look forward to spending another year and a half with you for graduation.
The pleasure's been all mine.
Thanks
Thank
a lot
you for having me.